Good Friday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And welcome to KEPR Quick, your latest local news and weather commercial free in about 25 minutes or less. We're going to jump right into weather because it's a bit of a longer show because of more election coverage. But a nice change has come in the world of weather. We had those cooler conditions, those cloudy skies, but now we're seeing a change in the opposite direction.
That's right. We are going to see a big time return to summer as we do head throughout this weekend. Let's just jump right into our weather headlines today. We are going to be looking at warmer temperatures today than in days prior. On Wednesday and Thursday, we saw unseasonably cool temperatures with highs only into the 70s and low 80s. But today, we are going to be returning back to the mid to upper 80s around the forecast area. Still a smidge below average, but certainly closer to average than we did see on Wednesday or Thursday. In terms of the weekend, we are going to see highs back to the 90s for Saturday and Sunday. Very typical, appropriate August-like weather. And then as we go into next week, we're going to see some up and down temperatures, but the week is going to start off certainly on a hot note. We'll talk more about all three of these weather headlines coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Franklin County. Highway 395 is back open after a major traffic accident yesterday. Take a look at this photo of the scene from yesterday afternoon. Deputies with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office say a series of crashes at the Franklin County-Adams County line resulted in all northbound lanes of 395 being closed and only one lane of 395 south being open. According to the Washington State Patrol, at least 14 cars and 3 semi-trucks were involved in the crashes. One person was transported to the hospital with injuries, the extent of which are unknown. Kennewick police are asking for your help investigating a shooting. According to the department, just after 8:30 last night, officers were called to the 3900 block of West John Day Avenue after reports of shots being fired. Although no one was injured, police say a group of juveniles wearing face masks were spotted fleeing the area. If you have any information or video of the incident, you're asked to contact Kennewick police on their non-emergency line. And in part 4 of our fentanyl series, we're following the money. KIMA's Anissa Williams spoke with Yakima County commissioners, the mayor of Yakima, and Congressman Dan Newhouse to find out how state, local, and federal dollars are being spent to combat fentanyl use and whether those investments are really making a difference.
Yakima County has invested heavily into treatment, including expanding drug court to divert eligible offenders into recovery programs.
The good news about that is that it is a fairly successful program, and so that's why we've put more money into it to expand that opportunity for more people. Because often when they graduate, they've kicked their addiction, and in the meantime, they've gotten their lives back. Sometimes they've got their kids back, they've gotten jobs back, and their life's back in order.
With 70% of inmates struggling with addiction, tools like medical bracelets, scanners, drug dogs, and medication-assisted treatment have helped reduce overdoses in jails, from 29 in 2022 to 11 in 2024. Meanwhile, Yakima Mayor Patricia Byers says most of the city's funding has focused on suppression and intervention, particularly through the diversion court program.
I'm a big fan of diversion courts. I've gone to a lot of the graduations from diversion court and have been able to talk to people personally. The final outcome of that is someone who's ready to, many of them are already employed when they finish the program, somebody who's ready to come out of that situation and get back into, a healthy lifestyle for themselves and their family.
While most of the funding has gone towards treatment, Commissioner Lindy says prevention still needs more investment. Yakima County Commissioner Amanda McKinney agrees, but adds that despite recent efforts in youth prevention and treatment, the root of the issue goes deeper.
We don't need more funding, we need changes in law. A lot of the reasons why we are where we are because of poor laws and a lack of the ability to enforce. And what we've seen is that is when we started to go and move away from consequence for actions as a state, we see people committing more crime.
After discussing recent federal efforts on border security and prevention, Congressman Dan Newhouse emphasized the scale of the fentanyl crisis and the urgent need for a comprehensive approach.
This is one of my biggest priorities. We put a lot of time because fentanyl has been a huge scourge, as you know, in Central Washington that we need to address. It's a Herculean task in front of us to stop every amount coming into the country. That's why we need to do much more at home, too, to reduce the demand, help people recover, and to spend the money and the resources we have in the most effective way possible.
KIMA's Anissa Williams, thank you. And our fentanyl series wraps up tonight with a look ahead to what's next for Yakima and Yakima County. You can watch it live as it airs on KIMA Action News at 5 and 6 p.m. You can also find the full series up on our YouTube page. We're going to switch gears over to Senator Patty Murray, who is continuing her tour across the state opposing the health care provisions in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. In Walla Walla yesterday, she hosted a roundtable discussion with health care leaders to talk the expected impact of cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, as well as the impact on rural health care facilities. Senator Murray says the legislation will force rural hospitals to shut down and put thousands of health care workers out of work, adding Medicare and Medicaid ensure coverage for more people.
I don't see it as a financial burden. I actually see it as savings for everyone. When in this country, where everybody gets access to care, you guys don't turn patients away. It spreads the costs so that the costs are lower for everyone. The patients who are on Medicaid still show up. So healthcare costs are there no matter how we pay for them in this country.
Now, Republicans argue the law puts patients back in control of their health care. Senator Murray suggests you reach out to your local member of Congress if you want to see changes. The Yakima Health District is giving out free water filters to people who live in East Sela and have detected PFAS in their private water wells. The systems are designed to remove those PFAS chemicals and include a separate faucet for filtered water for drinking and cooking. Filters will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis, but there are only 40 that will be given away. Details to apply online as well as over the phone can be found up on our website, KIMATV.com. Summertime in the Tri-Cities means taking to the water for many in the community, but local health leaders are warning about toxic algae that could be a problem for you and your pets. Right now, the Benton Franklin Health District routinely checks the Columbia River water for toxins that come from algae. Officials say there were no significant levels of algae toxins detected in their most recent test. However, staff did notice an increase in floating algal mats. They say even if there aren't any signs posted, it could still be a concern.
Anytime you see mats like this and you think that it's algae related, I think it presents a bit of a risk, especially for dogs that might not know better and like to, pick up things in their mouth and ingest them.
For adults and especially younger kids, if you come in contact with these algal blooms, you should wash your hands immediately and avoid touching your mouth and face. Irrigation storage in the Yakima Basin has plummeted to their lowest level since record keeping began in 1971, leaving irrigators grappling with severe drought conditions. Non-senior water rights holders in the Yakima Basin are now projected to receive only 40% of their estimated water allotment this year. Meanwhile, senior water rights holders will still continue to receive their full allotment. As of August 1st, the reservoir storage was at 39% capacity. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Integrated Drought Information System, the drought has intensified from moderate to severe. And with that, let's jump right over to meteorologist Jefferson Donovan to talk the weather. Jefferson, I know we had some of that rain throughout this week, and we talked about it earlier on as to if it's going to really move the needle on our drought conditions, and it doesn't look like that was to be the case, and temperatures are only getting warmer again.
Yeah, not at all. We only saw a few 1/100ths of an inch of rain in most cases, certainly not enough to have any kind of impact on drought conditions. Now, we are not going to be looking at any more precipitation in the forecast for at least the next couple of days, as we are going to be returning to a more summer-like pattern. We also saw some very cool temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday with highs only into the 70s and low 80s. Today we are going to start to see that transition back to a more typical August-like pattern, as highs in the Tri-Cities will be climbing to the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. Look for mid to upper 80s in the Yakima Valley today. Highs will reach the mid 80s in the Kittitas Valley this afternoon, with mid 80s for the Blue Mountain foothills, as absolutely everybody does see sunshine overhead on this Friday. Now, something that everyone was subject to yesterday were strong winds across the inland northwest. Today is going to be a pretty light wind day across eastern Washington and northeast Oregon. The only exception will be in the Kittitas Valley, where we could see gusts today up to 30 miles per hour. Going into Saturday, it will be a similar story. Light wind across the majority of the inland northwest, but we could experience gusts once again up to 30 miles per hour in the Kittitas Valley. So aside from the Kittitas Valley, both today and tomorrow, you should anticipate light winds across the board, and And what I will say is as we go into Sunday, even the Kittitas Valley will be looking at those light winds. Now let's talk about a big event coming to our region at Tri-City Raceway tomorrow. The ARCA Menards West Series is going to be taking to the track. We are going to be looking at a great day for racing. Mostly sunny skies with temperatures in the low 90s by the afternoon hours or in the afternoon hours, and still holding on to the upper 70s by the time proceedings start to wrap up. So if you're going to the Tri-City Raceway tomorrow to watch the ARCA Menards Series, I would recommend wearing sunscreen and also make sure to drink plenty of water to stay hydrated. Around the region in general over the next 3 days, here's what you can expect. We are going to be looking at warming temperatures. On Saturday, highs across the region will warm into the upper 80s to low 90s as we see plenty of sunshine. The sunny sky train will roll right into Sunday with even warmer temperatures with highs into the mid to upper 90s. And then as we do progress into Monday, here comes some very high heat with upper 90s to low 100s across eastern Washington and northeast Oregon. And it is possible, or I should say it is likely, in fact, that after Monday, though, we are going to start to see temperatures come down a few degrees as we do progress into Tuesday and Wednesday. Of course, that is a situation we will track closely throughout the weekend. In general, though, make sure to wear that sunscreen if you will be spending time outside. Right now, I'm going to toss it back over to Dave.
Thanks, Jefferson. The Department of Justice's new list of sanctuary jurisdictions looks a little different than when they put out the last one a few months ago. For one, the county and city of Yakima is not on the list. When the DOJ released their initial list in May, Yakima was one of 5 cities listed as a sanctuary jurisdiction in the Evergreen State. The list was quickly taken down as many people nationwide were confused as to why certain cities were on that list. In the most recent edition, Seattle is the only Washington city on that list, and Washington is named as well. However, no state counties are on it. And in the Palm Springs of Washington, from city services to public safety, tough financial decisions are on the table in Yakima. Leaders are looking to right the ship as they face a multi-million-dollar budget deficit. A critical tax levy is heading to the November ballot, and both city leaders and residents are preparing. KEPR's Anissa Williams fills us in.
Tax levy proposal is on the November ballot, and 6 residents have been chosen to represent both sides of the issue in the voter's guide, all unanimously approved by the council Monday night. At the same meeting, City Manager Vicki Baker updated the council on what's next if the levy fails.
We'll have one budget that has $9 million in cuts. We'll have one budget that has the $3 million cut package that's been passed and $6 million in levy, depending on what happens.
Baker says the city is finalizing a communication plan to keep the public informed while also reevaluating how future projects are prioritized and sustained.
The city of Yakima has a lot of items that are not necessarily part of a normal city. Give an example that we own a cemetery, for example. And so we're looking at those items and taking kind of a look at whether an analysis of that all of those specific things to see if they are penciling out, if we need to make adjustments, what do they look like individually. So we're going to be looking at that too as part of this budget process. And then just, the overall goal being that we set up a very stable, financially responsible city going forward.
Also during the meeting, the council approved a request from the Yakima Police Department to apply for a $500,000 grant focused on cyber-enabled crimes.
This initiative aims to strengthen the community's ability to investigate and respond to cyber-enabled crimes, particularly those involving domestic violence, sexual stalking, dating, violence, and human trafficking.
I think it would be a benefit to try to promote these kinds of opportunities in this valley, especially when it's hard to actually get somebody to have an ear to actually pay attention to some of these things.
At Yakima Airport, upgrades are already underway for the baggage claim area, backed by a mix of city funds and newly approved federal support. Airport Director Rob Hodgman explained how the newest grant fits into the larger project.
The residual from the first grant from Congressman Newhouse is $1.1 million left over from the roof and HVAC project. This is the second grant, one that we had to apply for and compete for, and we want to thank our congressional members, Murray, Cantwell, and Newhouse for providing us letters of support for that.
KEPR's Anissa Williams, thank you. And in the end, Yakima leaders say it's the voters who will shape the city's path forward when they decide on the tax levy this November. And we've got the latest vote count on the primary election. A reminder for the races, the top two candidates with the most votes will move on to the November election. For the measures, though, they are getting decided in this election. Kittitas and Yakima, the only two counties to update their numbers yesterday. Kittitas has about 7,100 ballots now counted, putting them at a 26% voter turnout. Yakima County at 16% turnout with 21,000 ballots counted. And with that, though, let's get right to the results. We're going to jump right over to the race that's been watched by many, the race for Mapton's mayor. Votes took a surprising turn yesterday. While it didn't look like Mapton Mayor Rachel Rulas would advance to the November ballot, she now takes second with over 25% of the votes cast, about 16-point swing from the day before. Although Martha Gonzalez is still in the lead with just over 53% of the votes, Laura Vasquez is in third with about 22%, not far behind Rulas, with only 8 votes separating the two candidates. Voter attempts to recall Rulas have failed, and it looks like she may very well appear on the November ballot. It is estimated that there are only 100 ballots left to count, so second place spot is still up for grabs. On to the race for Granger City Council position 3. Ryan Stonemetz is in first place with just over 38% of the votes. His likely November opponent, Juan Isidoria, is following close behind with just under 35% of the votes cast. On to the race for Yakima City Council District 4. As of now, Juliet Petrikis is leading with about 52% of the votes cast. She will likely face Janice DiCio in the general election, who is in second place with over 25% of the votes. As for the race for Yakima County Coroner, it's looking like, this ballot rather will decide who will complete the remainder of the term following the resignation of former coroner Jim Curtis. So far, Marshall Slight is in the lead with 72% of the vote. Dan Williams is falling behind with a little over 26% of the votes cast. In the race for Fire Protection District 5, Commissioner Timothy Smith has taken the majority vote with just under 65% of the votes. Kenton Gartrell is in second place with about 20%, and Nicholas Bredwell is in third with over 13% of the votes. On to the school district races now, starting off with the race for Yakima School District 7 Director Position 1. Pam Shelton is leading the race with less than 60% of the votes, while Esperanza Lemos is in second with over 32%. On to position 2 for Yakima School District 7. Ryan Beckett is in the lead with more than 50% of the votes. He'll likely face Jonathan Babcock, who is in second with just under 35% of the votes come November. Moving on to the race for Sela School District. Larry Patching is in the lead with less than 43% of the votes. Katrina Henkel is in second place with just under 30%. Both will likely head to the general election. As for the race for Grandview School District 5, Alina Olmstead is in the lead with just under 69% of the votes. Amanda Rodriguez is in second place with more than 19%. As for the Sunnyside School District Director 3 position, it's a tie. Laura Galvin was in the lead with 50% of the votes cast, but Vistro Salas III quickly caught up. Both now tied with over 46% of the votes. It looks like they will likely face off in the 11th month. Heading over to Kittitas County now, because we're going to start off with the race for Hospital District 1 Commissioner. As of now, Terry Clark is in the lead for the race with about 52% of the votes cast. Daniel Arnold is following behind with almost 40% of the votes. There is a levied lid lift for healthcare services for Kittitas Valley Healthcare to provide hospital and other healthcare services. The levy calls for an increase of 75 cents per $1,000 of assessed property value. Currently, voters are supporting the measure with about 53% of the votes. Kittitas Fire, District 7 also has a levied lid lift on the ballot to provide funds for fire protection, emergency medical service, new equipment, and firefighter safety. This would raise property tax to $1.25 for every $1,000 of assessed property value. Right now, voters are saying they overwhelmingly support this measure with just over 69% of the votes. The Ellensburg City Council has 3 positions on the ballot. The first is for position 1, where current Councilwoman Nancy Lilquist is seeking another term. John Sinclair has the lead right now with about 44% of the votes, but Lilquist isn't far behind with less than 36%. On to position 2, where Nancy Goodlow also wants another term. She has 2 challengers, but she still takes the first spot with 52% of the votes. Aaron Smith is in second with about 39%. On to position 3 for that same council, for the Ellensburg City Council. Councilmember Delano Palmer is seeking another term, has 2 other opponents in the primary. After the first vote count, it's looking like Palmer and Sam Ezel will be opponents in November. Palmer with about 48%, Ezel with about 43%. And just a reminder, more votes will be counted over the next several days, so results are not final. Yakima, Kittitas, Benton, and Walla Walla County's next data dump is this afternoon. Franklin County will update theirs on August 19th. The election will be certified by August 22nd. Be sure to head over to KIMA TV or KEPRTV.com for the updated results as more votes are counted. And we're going to switch gears, stepping away from election coverage and to changes at the Richland Fire Department. At the turn of the year, the city will say goodbye to its current fire chief and welcome his replacement. On January 1st, Chief Tom Huntington will retire after 31 years of service. Current Deputy Fire Chief Randy Oust has been selected as the next chief. Huntington rose to the seat after spending 15 years in operations and stayed at the head of the table for nearly 11 years. Deputy Chief Oust has over 2 decades of experience and will take the helm when Huntington steps down. A local nonprofit that benefits people in our community living with unique abilities and other challenges is hosting a fundraiser to help support its operation. Columbia Ability Alliance, formerly known as Columbia Industries, has a $50,000 donation goal, which is being supported by other local companies and organizations.
This is something that can sustain them throughout their lives. So for many of our individuals working on independent living, for our community center, it's life-enriching activities where there truly is a sense of community here, but it's also respite care. So for those caregivers, so they can refresh, recharge, rejuvenate.
For each donation that someone makes, there's a chance that you could be helping meet a smaller donation goal, which local companies have promised to match. For more information or how to get involved, head over to our website. And after nearly 2 decades in Ellensburg, a Central Washington University tortoise will be relocated next week. KIMA's Aiden Connor spent some time with the tortoise and tells us what's next for the 19-year-old Snorkel.
Snorkel the sulcata turtle was donated to Central Washington University in 2008, where he has lived 18 of his 19 years of life. However, due to health concerns, Snorkel was being relocated to the Phoenix Herpetological Sanctuary in Arizona next week. Greenhouse and vivarium manager Linnea Stavney says she noticed his issues about a year ago.
I noticed he was kind of limping, and then it just kind of got worse over time. We think it's because as he grew, it was putting more weight onto his skeleton.
While Snorkel's weight has grown to over 120 pounds, he was lacking one very critical thing in his everyday life at the greenhouse: sunshine.
The only thing that can really heal him is sunshine. It sounds really silly, but that's the best medicine that he needs.
Luckily for Snorkel, he loves to get outside and enjoy the sun that he critically needs.
Snorkel's favorite hobby is to come eat the green grass behind the biology greenhouse, but every once in a while, he likes a little colorful sweet treat.
After a few seconds of finishing the grass he had been working on, Snorkel finally warmed up to me. In her 3 years on the job, Stavney has grown a personal connection with Snorkel.
Yeah, Snorkel has honestly become a part of my identity. I didn't grow up necessarily loving reptiles that much. I remember when I was little, I was afraid to go to Eastern Washington because I knew that rattlesnakes lived here. And so I said, you know what, I'm never gonna go to Eastern Washington ever.
Needless to say, Stavney eventually warmed up to reptiles.
And here I am, I actually take care of rattlesnakes now and take care of Snorkel. And he just is such a beacon of beauty and cuteness and warmth. And it sounds silly, but we've really become friends over 3 years, and I'm really gonna miss him a lot.
What once was a fear turned into a friendship of a lifetime. While Snorkel may be leaving the area, his legacy lives in Ellensburg. Reporting for Action News, I'm Aiden Connor.
KIMA's Aiden Connor, thank you. And a going away party will be held for Snorkel on Thursday, August 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Central Washington University Greenhouse. And finally, if you want to get out and enjoy the weather this weekend, the Umatilla County Fair kicked off Wednesday, but it still runs through tomorrow. Those who attended last night got to see the children's tractor pull at 6, as well as the Flying Dog Show at 7 yesterday. The Flying Dogs are every day of the fair at noon, 4, and 7 in the evening. On Saturday, the youth livestock auction starts at 10 in the morning. The 4-H and Future Farmers of America members sell a variety of animals, including hogs, steers, goats, and rabbits. And that does it for us. Thank you for watching this episode of Keeper Quick. For more local news and weather, you can head over to our websites, KIMA and KEPRTV.com, as well as our Facebook pages. But while you're here, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with our latest mini newscasts Monday through Friday. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.